Welcome back in. It's college game night, and while the Power 5 conferences are now back in action, the SOU Raiders are still waiting to play football. As of right now, the Raiders are set to begin their year on February 27th. Before we get there, we'll spend a few minutes every week on game night taking a deep dive into some position groups. We'll get familiar with the Raiders team in anticipation of a spring 2021 season. This week, we start with the receivers, and before we get into who is in line to be big contributors, it's important to know who isn't coming back. The biggest name is one of the biggest and best receivers the Raiders have had in recent years, Jordan Sewell. Sewell led the team in receiving yards and touchdowns last year by a pretty substantial margin, almost 200 more receiving yards than the next player, and his 12 touchdowns accounted for over half the team's receiving touchdowns. It will be hard to replace the 6'6" wideout who ended his career fourth all-time in Raiders receiving touchdowns. But Sewell isn't the only receiver the Raiders will be missing. Parker Randall and Shelley were both key contributors on the offense. Both had over 300 yards receiving last year. Khalil Hudson racked up over 200 yards last season as well. None of those guys coming back to the receiving corps. Experience is going to be low for the Raiders this season.
This is the youngest group we probably had in years that played together. We only have maybe one outside returner outside receiver or inside receiver who actually played in big games last year or the year before last. And we just have to really learn this is us.
Here's lack of on-field experience in a graphic. On the left, the graduated receivers. On the right, the returners. On the left, only 6 people who combined for 56 games played. And on the right, 11 players who combined for 80 games. Sewell, Randall, and Shelley make up the vast majority of the production from the graduated receivers. And even more surprising, one person makes up over half of the returners' receiving yards. Now, who is that mystery man who led the Raiders in receptions and finished second behind Jordan Sewell in receiving yards? It's Redshirt junior Christian Graziani, a consistent producer for the Raiders last year who they'll look to lead the young receiver group. Among players listed as receivers, Graziani is the only returner with more than 7 receptions. And last season, he had 59, 17 more than Jordan Sewell. On average, he was picking up about 60 yards a game for the Raiders and was a reliable target for the inconsistent quarterback situation last season. A lot of pressure will be put on the 5'11" junior to lead the inexperienced receiver corps, but Graziani is taking the experiences from his freshman year to better teach this young group.
Basically, all I'm trying to do is boost their confidence up, because I know when I was a freshman, I didn't come in with a lot of confidence. I was making mistakes. I was dropping balls. So for me, I feel like I want to be that guy to go ahead and step up and be there for them and let them know that, hey, it's all right if you mess up. This is all a learning experience, and we're going to go ahead and get better as a team, as a core, and we're going to be dangerous.
Graziani easily has the most experience, but there are a few players that have some game time experience as well. Notably, 2 track stars looking to add some speed on the wings, Bryce Goggins and Mclaughlin. Goggins was limited game experience last year and playing in only 3 games and making 2 catches. Goggins also runs hurdles for the Raiders in the spring, a great skill for a receiver. Mclaughlin, he's a sprinter for the SOU track team. Raiders will get help in other forms too. Former Ashland High School receiver Sashi Penn is back in the Rogue Valley. A Golden West College transfer looks to add a little experience to the group. Jayden Cummings served as a backup last season. A junior this season, he played in 7 games last year with 5 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown. Ben Graziani, a redshirt sophomore, looks to contribute this year. His father, Tony Graziani, played QB for the Oregon Ducks in the 90s and was drafted in the 7th round of the 1997 NFL draft by the Atlanta Falcons. Tahir Mills, a junior transfer who features size and speed. And then there's redshirt freshman Sawyer Cleveland, who's a converted high school quarterback. According to Coach Charlie Hall, Cleveland has the potential to be a Jordan Sewell type receiver. Now, this receiver group will need some polishing, but luckily they get a little bonus time before they play their first game. And helping them along the way will be a 3rd-year starting quarterback, Wyatt Hutchinson. He battled injuries last year, but in his final year with the Raiders, he could help accelerate the learning process for the young group of wideouts.
He knows how it goes. He knows what needs to be done, which is nice that I'm glad that we still have Wyatt around. And we have a few more seniors that is just like that, been here since 17, 16, that knows, this is how it needs to be done, and this is how it will be done.
There are guys with lots of talent, but it takes more than just talent. You got to remember your plays. You certainly got to catch the football consistently and things like that. But yeah, there's some guys with some length and some height. They've had some great experiences against us. Again, the proof's going to be when we come out there against Rocky Mountain here on February 27th and see who's going to make those plays.
So here's a look at the schedule for the Raiders as it stands right now for the spring. Home opener against Rocky Mountain College on the last Saturday in February. Then 2 road games until Montana Western visits Raider Stadium. Now we all just need to keep our fingers crossed for SOU football in the spring. We're hopeful there will be some approval of testing guidelines that allow the season to carry on. As soon as we get updates on the season, we'll be sure to pass those along to you.